All right, onto the small intestine. So, if you remember from earlier, the food that you eat and the liquids that you drink go into your mouth, down your esophagus, into your stomach, and now we're onto the small intestine. The small intestine has three regions, the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. Here they are. So here's the stomach. It's been cut away. First section is the duodenum or duodenum. Second section is the jejunum. And then the third and last section of the small intestine is called the ileum. And then it moves on to the large intestine, which we'll learn about next. So the small intestine is where the majority of digestion occurs in the body, not the stomach actually, but the small intestine. And the reason for that is because of its length. And it's got lots of folds and lots of what we call projections, and we'll get to that in a minute. So there are lots of these folds and lots of these projections that stick into the small intestine, and what it does is it increases surface area for two reasons. And one of the reasons is if it has a very, very large surface area for the secretion of digestive juices that help break down and digest your food chemically. Secondly, there's a very high surface area for absorption of nutrients. So remember, you're taking these foods and you're breaking them down mechanically, and you're also breaking them down chemically. So you're going from these big macromolecules, these big polymers, to monomers or smaller molecules, single units. And now we can easily absorb them because of the high surface area. So let's take a look at that. So if we take a look at this cross section here of the small intestine, and we'll zoom in right here, and we'll see this diagram here, figure A. And you'll see that there's a very rich blood supply as far as arterial and venous blood supply in here. Now these guys here are called villi, or villus is singular, villi is plural in Latin. And what these do is these guys increase the surface area. And if you look at each of these individual cells, you'll see what we call a brush border here. Each of these individual cells also has these tiny microvilli or projections that stick out too, increasing surface area. So remember from biology, here's the cell, here is the cell membrane, there's the nucleus, there is the endoplasmic reticulum. It's hard to tell whether it's rough or smooth. Golgi bodies here, there are vesicles, there are mitochondria here to do cellular respiration. Okay, so there's a lot going on in these cells, but the number one job of these absorb cells that do a lot of absorbing is to get the broken down materials that have been catabolized in the lumen, using these big words now, in the space of the small intestine. We're trying to get all those materials that have been catabolized into the cell and then off into the circulatory system to be distributed throughout the body. Okay? And meanwhile, there's what we call segmentation is going on. Segmentation is literally the mixing of the liquid chymes, the food and the digestive juices up and down, back and forth over time in the digestive system.